Chapter 1. The First Strike. The Eden Pattern. The first strike is a sound, not out in the street, but in the small room behind your eyes. It taps once, then again. A suggestion, a question, a tone you think you recognize. You give it a moment, then another. The sound does what sounds are made to do. It turns your head. Take heed what ye hear. Mark 4 verse 24. The head turns, and now the eye is working. A glance permitted becomes a gaze. I will set no wicked thing before mine eyes. Psalm 101 verse 3. The noise learns a rhythm and returns like an old ram at a city gate. Thud, draw back, thud, testing the seam in the stone. You reach to hold one clean thought, and it breaks in your hand. This is how a hinge loosens. This is how a gate forgets its bar. Sound leads. Sight follows. The order that unseats a heart. This is the sequence that moves a man off course. Sound, sights, desire, temptation, action, aftermath. The serpent begins with a voice. Yeah, hath God said? Genesis 3 verse 1. The head turns, and when the woman saw, Genesis 3 verse 6. Desire wakes and argues its case. Every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. James 1 verse 14. The hand obeys the heart. Then the hiding begins. Eden, the pattern set at the beginning. Before the whisper, there was a word. Of every tree thou mayest freely eat, but thou shalt surely die. Genesis 2 verses 16 to 17. A clear command, a bright line. Then came a voice, smooth as reason. Yeah, hath God said. Genesis 3 verse 1. Another sentence follows close behind. Ye shall not surely die. Ye shall be as gods. Genesis 3 verses 4 to 5. The voice reframes the tree. The eye answers that frame. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise. Genesis 3 verse 6. Flesh, eyes, pride. John will name the same trio later. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life. 1 John 2 verse 16. Desire leans forward. Consent draws near. Drawn away and enticed. James 1 verse 14. A hand moves. She took and did eat, and gave also unto her husband, and he did eat. Genesis 3 verse 6. The fruit is swallowed, the room changes. The eyes of them both were open, they knew, and hid themselves from the presence of the Lord. Genesis 3 verses 7 to 8. It was not sudden, it was sequential. Sound led. Sight followed. Desire wrote the script. The hand signed it. Distance was the wage. A witness in the valley, David and Goliath. In the valley, the giant leads with sound. I defy the armies of Israel this day. 1 Samuel 17 verse 10. When Saul and all Israel heard, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. v.11. Then sight takes command. When they saw the man, they fled. v.24. Sound defined what they saw. Fear followed their seeing. David answers sound with covenant. Who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? v.26. He refuses to let the eye rule the heart. Thou comest to me with a sword, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, for the battle is the Lord's. Verses 45, 47. Then his feet preach what his mouth believed. David hasted and ran. v.48. Two orders stood in the same dust. One bowed to a taunt and fled what it saw. One bowed to a word and ran at what it saw. Sound answers sound. Jesus in the wilderness. The Lord follows the same order and gives us the pattern. The tempter speaks first and frames the sights. Stones that look like bread, a pinnacle daring a leap, kingdoms glittering with promise. Jesus answers sound with sound, not debate, not silence, but it is written. It is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Matthew 4 verses 4 and 7, 10. Sight never becomes sovereign because the ear keeps its king. That is the law we are learning. The ear sets the frame, the eye follows the frame, the feet follow the eye. The sower's war, same order, new field. The Lord names the same warfare, in a field. The sower soweth the word, Mark 4 verse 14. First, theft at the ear. When they have heard, Satan cometh immediately, and taketh away the word, v.15. If not stolen, the seed is shaken. When affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. v.17. If not shaken out, it is choked. The cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lusts of other things entering in. v.19. Luke adds pleasures of this life. Luke 8 verse 14. Hear the order. Sound steals, pain shakes, sight-fed desire chokes. The same sequence. A different soil. The enemy works the ear, the nerves, the eyes, and the anxious mind until the word cannot breathe. The result is the same as Eden's end: distance, barrenness, hiding. Vision prologue, the gate left ajar. Night breaks by sound. Explosions light the dark and die. Smoke thickens the air and makes seen labor. With each blast something flips inside. Fear, then courage, peace, then torment, love, then hate, confusion, then soundness. Contradictions arrive together, as if carried by the same shell. I stood in total chaos, and the chaos was no longer only around me, it was in me. This was not random noise. It was the first strike at the ear. When they have heard, Satan cometh immediately. Mark 4 verse 15. He came before roots could take hold. Because the ear was open, the eye followed. To my right, a great and mighty army, bright and terrible, pushing the dark back as they marched in authority. To my left, a massive city burning. From that city, I heard faint, familiar cries. As I listened, my heart ached, my breath shortened, urgency pressed on my chest like a weight, my feet burned as if on coals. Everything in me said, run to the cries. This is what love does to reorder the senses. It sets the frame so the eyes look right on, Proverbs 4 verse 25, and the feet move, your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, Ephesians 6 verse 15. But I must tell it plainly, as I confessed, I allowed and entertained it through the gates. The blasts were admitted at the ear. The spectacle was admitted at the eye. The hinge loosened. The room filled with voices that would not wait their turn. He that hath no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down and without walls, Proverbs 25 verse 28. Mine eye affecteth mine heart, Lamentations 3 verse 51. The war was not only against me, it was asking permission. And I gave it, a moment here, a glance there, until prayer thinned and the king seemed far. That is why this chapter begins where it does. Guard the ear, govern the eye. Answer sound with sound. Let light frame sight. The entrance of thy words giveth light. Psalm 119 verse 130.